So as I said, this first session is about the work of Campus Compact. And I just want to say a little bit to get started about why we do this. So at our 2016 conference, our 2018 conference, and now our third biennial conference, we are doing this exercise of sharing with everybody who's here a little bit about Campus Compact's work in the moment and where we're headed. And we do that for a number of reasons. One is really a sense of accountability. That is to say, so many of you are either people who work or study at member institutions, or you work at organizations that are partners of our member institutions across the country. And so we think it makes sense to just let you know a little bit about what we're doing. We also do this to encourage you to see where you might fit in. So you may know about some of our programs and our projects and our efforts, but you may not know about others. And we'd like you to have the opportunity to consider what more you might be taking advantage of that would advance your work, the work of your institution. It's also the case that you can think of this as giving you some tools for conversations about Campus Compact on your campus. So if in fact you would like to advocate for continuing to be part of this coalition, investing in the common good, investing in our democracy and our communities, hopefully this material will be useful to you in that way. And also, it's just stuff we really like talking about, and we think it's interesting, and so we like to bring it to you. So I want to start by saying a bit about who we are. We know that many of you are familiar with us, but we also know streaming on open platforms. We hope there's some folks who are new to us, and we may just introduce you a bit to who Campus Compact is. So we're a national coalition of about 1,000 colleges and universities committed to the public purposes of higher education. Our focus is on a strong democracy, and we think civic education, civic action, and community development through partnerships is a crucial avenue for getting there. Our vision is that we play a role of advancing the public purposes of colleges and universities by deepening their ability to improve community life and to educate students for civic and social responsibility. And as you'll see throughout, when we start talking about the programmatic work, we see ourselves as playing a catalytic role to ensure that the resources, the capacity of our members across the country, that those are converted into action for the benefit of our communities and our democracy through the people who do the work on those campuses. We believe that higher education can play a key role in bringing our country closer to our highest aspiration for a just, inclusive democracy, economy, and society. We recognize that there's never been a moment in our history where we've actually gotten to those aspirations, and they are always the subjects of contention and of political dispute. But we also know that there are ideals that we can hold on to, that we can continue to put forward. And our role, again, is to ensure that higher education is playing its role in moving that vision forward. Through their multiple roles as educators, knowledge creators, anchors, and partners, colleges and universities, in our view, have both special responsibilities and opportunities to cultivate thoughtful and effective participants in our democracy and to contribute to strong and healthy communities. And again, we believe that Campus Compact's role is to support all of that. So the role that colleges and universities play in teaching students, both in the curriculum and co-curriculum, in creating and generating new knowledge, new scholarship, through research, through creative endeavors of various kinds. What we call the anchor role of colleges and universities, meaning their role in the local political economic landscapes in which they exist as employers, as purchasers of products, as developers of real estate, as entities that are deciding whom to admit and whom to fund with financial aid. So in all of these ways, colleges and universities have opportunities to foster positive change, and our role is to make it as likely as possible that that really happens. So what we want to do now is move into talking a little bit about how we do that, and we have sort of a few different categories of work that we're going to talk about. The first one is about catalyzing systemic change. So we seek to change systems, both in the sense of the systems that drive individual colleges and universities, as well as higher education thought of collectively as a system, and to help with the first part of that conversation. And I should mention this now, I will be along the way bringing in various of my colleagues to talk a little bit about some of the details of our specific programs and where they're headed. And there's one other thing I just want to mention before I do that, which is the programs and opportunities we're talking about now are things that are available nationally. It is also true that there are an enormous number of programs and projects and initiatives and communities within Campus Compact happening all across the country that are specific to the places where you are. So they come through your state and regional Campus Compact. We're not going to talk about every one of those because there's way too many. But I just want to make clear that this is just the tip of the iceberg, and so much of what happens is through the great work of the many, many people who comprise the Campus Compact network all across the country. Okay, so I am now going to introduce my colleague, Clayton Hurd, the Director of Professional Learning at Campus Compact, who's going to talk a little bit about our work in bringing together affinity groups. Clayton.
Thank you, Andrew, for that great introduction to our work. And thank you for all those who are out there across the country. Good morning. I'm going to talk a little, I'm going to get us started. And then, as Andrew said, we'll hear from others about some of the different dimensions of the work that Campus Compact is doing. I want to talk a little bit about affinity groups. And our affinity groups are initiatives that we're currently supporting to help convene and moderate groups of practitioners in order to create space for important conversations and collaboration related to advancing the engagement agendas of both institutions and individuals within our Campus Compact network. One such affinity group is Community Colleges for Democracy. We currently have 220 community colleges as part of this national network, which has dedicated itself to preparing community college students to be informed, active, and mobilized leaders in our democracy. Campus Compact realizes how central community colleges are to ensuring that higher education is contributing to the health and strength of our democracy. Obviously, not only do community colleges enroll nearly half of all students, they play the greatest role in educating students from communities that face exclusion, as well as first-generation students from all backgrounds. As a network, Community Colleges for Democracy provides a framework, really, for community college professionals to engage in conversation, collaboration, and the development of shared resources and approaches that they can use to link community-based civic learning to some of the broader institutional priorities at their institution related to retention, completion, and education for democratic participation. So for more information on the Community College for Democracy Network, including key resources, events, and opportunities, check out our website. We have a great site there with those things sort of all in one place. So I encourage you to check that out. A second sort of affinity group we have is something that we affectionately call Truckin'. What is Truckin'? Well, Truckin' is a song by the Grateful Dead. It first appeared on their 1970 album, American Beauty. And in 1997, it was recognized by the United States Library of Congress as a national treasure. Wait, that's not the right Truckin'. All right, well, fair enough. Truckin' also stands for the Research University Civic Engagement Network. It was originally established in 2008 by a small handful of our member institutions that were interested in and committed to advancing civic engagement and engaged scholarship, specifically at high research or R1 universities. 12 years later, with Campus Compact playing a continuing role as secretariat, the network now includes over 40 active members. Truckin' hosts an annual meeting, typically in February, inviting individuals who lead or oversee civic and community engagement programming at their respective research universities to share the innovative work they're doing, as well as to brainstorm together some new and creative ways to address some of the common challenges and opportunities that research universities face in their efforts to extend and enhance their engagement work. So for more information about Truckin', we're always looking for new members. Please feel free to reach out to me. We're pleased to announce that this upcoming year's 2021 Truckin' meeting will be held at UMass Amherst. Also, bonus points for anyone that can name the B-side of the Truckin' 7-inch single that was released in November of 1970. But I'll give a big hint, it's another Dead classic you'd probably recognize. Our third affinity group I want to mention real quickly is our communities of practice. This is a significant in the sense that we're using these communities of practice, or what we call COPs, as a way to really create a strategic tool to bring people together in learning communities, or what we will call collegial networks, to foster collective learning around issues that are really central to our collective and collaborative civic and community engagement practice. So our COPs are cohort-based and specifically designed through a democratic facilitation model to generate discussions, joint activities, and relationship building in ways that allow both institutional and individual participants to develop shared resources as well as enhance their skills and knowledge so they can put that into practice at their respective institutions. So recently, Campus Compact has organized and offered communities of practice related to service learning in community colleges that has explored best practices and models for service learning and civic learning in community colleges. We are also offering communities of practice for member institutions that are implementing civic action plans in order to discuss the challenges and successes in their advancement of institutional work around community and civic engagement. And finally, we have developed and are now offering a range of communities of practice around our community engagement professional credentialing program. And the purpose of these communities of practice is to really offer a networked learning space for civic and community engagement practitioners to share, reflect on, and build their competency around some really common areas of engagement practice. Areas like community partnership building, community engaged learning and teaching or service learning, faculty development, program administration, and even diving a little bit deeper into the broader fundamentals of community and civic engagement work. So we've built these communities of practice into the credentialing program, really to create space for cohort-based learning experiences, as well as opportunities for networking and collegial support as practitioners reflect on their professional practice and also prepare materials to submit as part of the credentialing process. So if you have specific questions about these communities of practice, any that I mentioned, in the relation in the last case to the larger credentialing process, please visit us in our Slack networking session. You can join us. It's particularly at CEP CEP Credentialing, and we'll see you there this afternoon. Back to you, Andrew.
Thank you very much, Clayton. You know, I think Campus Compact's new tagline will be "Come for the civic and community engagement, stay for the Grateful Dead related comedy," because I think we're really onto something here. I also just want to note, in addition to that point, that I think we will have time for questions related to this session. So if you want to start putting them into the chat on Facebook, on YouTube Live, et cetera, go right ahead, and we'll be capturing those and passing them along. So we're talking about ways that we catalyze systemic change. Affinity groups is one way we do that. A second way is through an initiative we've been leading since 2016 focused on civic action planning. If you go to compact.org/action statement, you can learn a lot more about this. The historical story is that in 2016, a group across our network involving many presidents and staff at our state and regional compacts, et cetera, came together and developed a statement articulating our shared values and our shared sense that institutions essentially needed to be doing the kinds of things I talked about at the front end of this: educating students for democratic participation, contributing to challenging the inequalities that threaten our democracy, taking their roles as anchor institutions seriously to create more just and equitable and sustainable communities through partnership. And based on that statement, they also, institutions that signed on to it, and more than 400 some did, committed to build a civic action plan that would put those values into practice. To date, more than 120 plans have been submitted. Many of them are now several years in, and we've seen tremendous work done under the banner of these civic action plans. New programs created, new positions created in some cases. But most importantly, what we've seen are institutions aligning practice with values. So being clear about what their shared commitments are alongside other institutions of higher education, and making sure that the things they're doing actually match up to those values. Our role in this has been to provide knowledge, resources, training, technical assistance. We've done that in a whole wide variety of ways, and we continue to do so. We just, in fact, led a community practice this year focused on plan implementation. As we've moved forward, we have deepened the focus on the relationship between civic action planning and ensuring equitable practice in community engagement and in all of the public-facing work of institutions. In many cases, these plans have been built into institutional strategic plans, and so we have seen lasting change coming out of this work. If you would like to help drive your institution forward in deepening their commitment, you can go to compact.org/action statement or Google Campus Compact Civic Action Plan, and you will find a lot of these resources and this knowledge and the opportunity to get involved. Moments of transition are moments when deep decisions are made that affect the future of institutions, and we are likely to be in such a moment in the next year and beyond. So I would really suggest that you think hard about how you can ensure that as your institution is making fundamental decisions about its future, that its public commitments, its public values be at the front of that. And our civic action planning resources are an important way to advance that project. All right. The next piece of our systemic change work that I want to focus on is our national service programs across the Campus Compact Network. And in order to advance that conversation, I'm going to invite in two more colleagues. So Monique Ellefson is Program Manager for Student Success with Iowa and Minnesota Campus Compact. She is also the chair of our network-wide committee focused on national service programs, and she's joined by Alisha Andrews, who is the director of our K2H Civic Futures AmeriCorps program. Monique.
Hello. Thank you, Andrew. So across our network, as you can see on our lovely map here, we have around 23 AmeriCorps programs, both state and national, and AmeriCorps Vista. And Vista stands for Volunteers in Service to America. And so just to give you a little bit of the scope or the impact of what we're doing, and this is more a reflection of the data we record and report to the corporation. But last year we had 800 members serve in our programs, and they supported more than 2,000 community-based organizations, which is really amazing when you think about it. And so these individuals actually leveraged 44,000 volunteers who served 215,000 hours of service. So again, these data points are just a small part of our work with communities across our network. And I'm going to turn it over to Alisha, who can tell you a little bit more about how we use these AmeriCorps programs to fulfill and advance our mission.
Thanks, Monique. So as Monique mentioned, the work that our national service programs do really focus on advancing the mission of Campus Compact and supporting the work that you're already doing at your campus. So some of the things that AmeriCorps members could do focuses on supporting the civic action plans, whether that's creating, implementation, or evaluation, the campus community partnerships, really connecting the campus to the community surrounding them, veteran support, equity and racial justice issues, college access and supporting first-generation college students, as well as focusing on the basic needs of students like housing and food, and many other sorts of activities and projects. Some of the folks who can serve in the program are current students. They can be recent graduates. They can be on a gap year. They can be community members. They can be folks looking for a second career. It's really just anyone who's looking to get involved and improve the community around them. One of the programs that we are really excited about is our new K-to-H program, which focuses on building P20 partnerships with K-12 and higher ed institutions so that students have access to civic engagement and service learning throughout the course of their educational career at under-resourced schools. So students are often going into higher ed without having experience in service learning and civic engagement, and this program uses full-time members to create and build those partnerships, and then part-time members to actually implement curriculums within those K-12 schools so that students have that exposure before they get to higher ed. If you want any additional information on any of our programs, you can check out our website, and I will be passing it back to Andrew.
Much, Alisha. So that's a little bit about how we seek to catalyze systemic change through bringing together collections of institutions with shared focus for learning and development through our civic action planning work that helps institutions envision their own work in partnership with their communities and other kinds of organizations. And through these national service programs that are really the backbone for building partnerships between higher education and all kinds of organizations, public schools, youth serving organizations across the country. So there's more about how we catalyze systemic change, but that gives you some sense of the range of efforts and programs and approaches that we use. So then a second big category of work we do that is aimed, again, at catalyzing change in higher education is supporting individuals, people who are working to make change in their institutions, in their communities, in service of the public good. And there are many different constituencies that fit the bill, from senior leaders. We brought together folks at our Summit of Presidents and Chancellors just last week, to professionals working in the field. But I'm going to start with students and our primary student-facing program that's a national program, which is the Newman Civic Fellowship. Many of you are familiar with this program. Through the Newman Civic Fellowship, each institution that is a member of Campus Compact is invited to nominate one student per year to become a fellow. They spend 1 year with us. And these are students who are nominated on the basis of their track record of effective change making in their campus communities and in communities beyond the campus. They connect to us for a year of learning and network building. They come to an in-person conference. They participate in online learning activities. And most importantly, they get to know each other. This is an extraordinary and extraordinarily diverse group of students. They come from all of the types of institutions that make up our network: 2-year and 4-year, public and private, faith-based and secular, urban and suburban and rural. And they connect in ways that are just staggering to see. So as soon as they get into the same space with each other, they are learning from each other, they are sharing ideas, and there's just an amazing energy. It's an extraordinary group of people. This year we have, in the new cohort, we've just admitted close to 300 students who will be with us for the coming year. If you're not already participating in this program, I encourage you to ensure that your president nominates someone when the next cycle opens up in the late fall. So I'm going to now share with you a video that just shows you a little bit of who these students are. The new generation of student civic leaders is hard at work all across our country, building the kinds of communities that bring people together with voice and opportunity for everyone.
So the social issues that keep me up at night are Title IX issues at universities and universities that mishandle their Title IX cases.
Issues of poverty, the gap in between those who have and have not.
Especially access to education in STEM fields and medical fields to mostly people of color and queer students.
Like, we all know that education is a basic necessity, but we don't take it as serious as other basic necessities.
And I don't think that people understand how much influence their one vote has in a city council race.
Student civic leadership is so important right now because young people perceive the issues that will matter to their generation in the years to come, and they are taking action to make a difference. Our work at Campus Compact is to enable their success.
The new Civic Fellowship is a great way for me to amplify my work.
Definitely more about expressing and listening to our differences of opinion, but bringing that together and seeing where we have common ground.
And meeting all of these other people from all over the world that are doing the same things that I'm doing and involved in the same things that I'm involved in has been a huge pressure off my shoulders. It's not so lonely anymore.
And I think Campus Compact really helps people network, learn leadership techniques, and reach the communities around them.
All right, so one of the cohorts we work with is students, but we also work with professionals in the field, supporting, developing, and connecting people. And one key program through which we do that is our Engaged Scholars Initiative. And I am now going to welcome my colleague Elaine Ikeda, the Executive Director of California Campus Compact, to talk about that program.
Thank you, Andrew. Great to be with you all. In 2008, Campus Compact convened an intentionally diverse group of 10 early career faculty and staff from across the country to form the Engaged Scholars for New Perspectives in Higher Education. And over the last decade, they have published and presented individually and jointly and taken on new leadership roles in their institutions and in the field. They are often the ones that we now see leading conference sessions or publishing books and articles that are moving our field forward. Several have held or currently hold key administrative positions in higher education. In order to cultivate another rising generation of diverse leaders across the United States, the Campus Compact Network is currently piloting regional Engaged Scholar Initiative cohorts in the Eastern, Midwest, and Western regions. Each cohort includes a balance of 12 to 15 career faculty and community engaged professional staff. The primary goals of the Engaged Scholar Initiative are to, 1, develop engaged scholars who are committed to addressing power dynamics and advancing equity and full participation in institutions and communities. Number 2, advance scholarly objectives, including research, teaching, or application of each scholar's choosing. 3, strengthen professional networks by building deep relationships among early career scholars and community engagement professionals. 4, expand the perspectives and types and sources of knowledge incorporated and highlighted across the field. And 5, generate individual and collaborative work that translates the scholar's insights into both traditional academic and creative works and educational and community resources. Over approximately 15 months, the scholars experience a combination of in-person and virtual meetings and retreats and collaborative scholarly work. Scholars are also paired with a mentor who is a more senior scholar or community engagement professional in the field. We are grateful to a number of higher education institutions that have sponsored and partnered with us on this initiative. As we work to develop a second round of the Engaged Scholars Initiative, please let us know if your institution would be interested in co-sponsoring or partnering with us. And you can always find more information on our Compact website about the Engaged Scholar Initiative. So Andrew, back to you.
Thank you very much, Elaine. And, you know, I always, when I think about this program, I just think of it as such a great example of the power of the network, of the institutions of our state and regional compacts and the people coming together to build this extraordinary opportunity. And I've had the chance to meet the folks who participate in it. It's just phenomenal. So thank you for that, Elaine, for your work on it and for sharing a bit today. All right, the next thing we're going to talk about is our work on community engagement professional credentialing, again, aimed at building and strengthening the community of professionals leading and building this work on campuses across the country. And to do that, I'm going to welcome back my colleague, Clayton Hurd.
Thank you, and hello again. I'm sure some of you have heard about the credentialing process that Campus Compact has begun to undertake. And I know that because as I looked through Facebook and YouTube participants that are commenting, I recognized a lot of names of folks who've been involved in the program. But for the rest of you, Campus Compact's Community Engagement Professional Credentialing Program really has two primary purposes. One is to really provide civic and community engagement professionals with opportunities to earn formal recognition for the knowledge and skills they have and will continue to develop throughout their careers. The unique competencies that you all have are not always well understood nor necessarily fully valued for what they are, both inside and outside of higher education environments. So this validating process is particularly important and useful for advancing and increasing the visibility of work in our field. A second purpose is really about trying to stimulate and incentivize professional learning in our field by providing a framework for practitioners to grow and achieve in ways that will, on the one hand, we hope, strengthen our network of campus and community leaders, and on the other hand, do that in such a way that yields better results for students, institutions, and communities simultaneously. So it was really in the name of this dual goal that Campus Compact spent several years identifying and naming a range of core competency areas of community engagement practice. Each area is understood as sort of a set of knowledge, skills, and critical commitments that practitioners can mobilize in order to advance community and civic engagement in a manner characterized by equity and integrity. And that's a big piece of what we do as well, in terms of really focusing on equity-based and inclusion practices within what we do in communities. So it's these core competency areas became the basis of the micro-credentials that we now offer through our certification program. So what we offer to practitioners at any level of their career is ability to earn competency-based certification for the unique skills they possess and put into practice. So each micro-credential a practitioner earns serves as an independent certification. But micro-credentials can be combined across practice areas to apply for and achieve full accreditation as a Campus Compact certified community engagement professional. So individuals interested in earning certification can do so right now by applying for one or more of our 6 currently available micro-credentials. The enrollment period for new applications actually begins this Friday, May 15th, and will remain open until the end of August. At any time during this period, individuals can apply and submit materials to earn certification. And one quick other thing, also as of this week, we are very pleased to announce the offering of 6 new communities of practice this summer that are specifically designed to support individuals who are applying for and submitting materials to earn micro-credential certification. So if you go to our webpage, you go to credential.compact.org, you'll see the several times, you'll see the facilitators, you'll see the times when the COPs are. They're between June and August, and we hope that you'll join us. Some of the focal areas include community partnerships, community engaged teaching and learning, faculty development, and program administration. So please check that out. We invite you to join the COPs. They're free of charge. You can sign up today, and applications will be open through the 27th of this month, so May 27th, and then we will begin the communities of practice in early June. So it's a pretty quick turnaround, so we hope people will check it out and join us. Back to you, Andrew.
Thank you very much, Clayton. So again, we're sort of working our way through these approaches. We work through catalyzing systemic change. We work through supporting the professionals, the students, the senior leaders, faculty, staff who move the work of community and civic engagement forward. And again, this is just the tip of the iceberg. The work is happening through our state and regional compacts in so many ways across the country. And then a third way we advance the work and our mission with respect to advancing democratic learning and development is through supporting teaching and learning. And obviously this has been the core of Campus Compact's work for decades. Teaching and learning happens in both the curriculum and in the co-curriculum. And our efforts are to support all of that work to build the skills, the knowledge, the dispositions that enable people to be strong and effective participants in their communities, advocates for point of view, collaborators in solving public problems, and participants in the formal and informal processes that make for strong and healthy communities and a strong and healthy democracy. And we do that, again, in a number of ways, only a few of which I will be able to mention here. So one is this platform called Compact to Learn that we've been developing over the last couple of years. We started work on this because we heard from our member institutions that they were frequently looking for a tool that would help them capture data about student civic learning outcomes. They valued it in their own work. They wanted to learn more about what their students were learning and how they were developing. In some cases, they were also hearing from external agencies. In some cases, public higher education authorities in the states, or in the case of the Higher Learning Commission, which is the accreditor for about 1,000 institutions in the Midwest, they were hearing from accreditors and saying, you've identified civic learning as something that's important, or we've identified it as important, and we want to know what's the evidence that your students are learning and are developing the capacities, the knowledge, the skills that you are hoping for. And so we worked with a technology company called Liaison International to build this platform called Compact to Learn. It's partly about capturing fine-grained information about what students are doing. And crucially, it's about connecting that with information about what students are learning from the perspective of the students themselves, from the perspective of community partners or site supervisors, and from the perspective of faculty or staff who lead courses or programs on campuses. We think it'll advance the interests of institutions. We think it'll advance the interest of students by allowing them to tell the story of their own community engagement, experience, and learning in some very specific ways. We also think there's a huge benefit for research in the field by gathering data in ways that are aligned with each other across institutions that can then help us to figure out what are the most effective practices, which things make the most difference, what kinds of issues that students are working on seem to inspire deep development and learning in students. And then also connecting this data with other kinds of data, such as data about student voting with the National Study of Learning, Voting, and Engagement. For example, what if we could say that certain kinds of activities which produce certain kinds of learning then also are likely to lead students to do things like participate in voting? That would be powerful, and we'd love to know it. And a big part of the idea of Compact to Learn is to help us get to the point where we can start to tell that story. So you can learn more at compacttolearn.org. You can also connect with folks during the Slack networking to learn more as well. A second piece of our work in teaching and learning is through the initiative we call Education for Democracy. We launched that in 2018, and its goal really is to build the knowledge, the skills, the dispositions necessary for thoughtful and effective participation in democracy. Focuses on 4 areas: understanding how to make policy change on the systems and processes and how citizens can get involved in those; deliberation and dialogue in a democracy, listening to others, working together to identify differences and also opportunities for common ground; participation in voting and the formal processes of democracy; and then understanding how to distinguish reliable from unreliable political information in the context of the online environment that we now exist. We have been undertaking this work through a variety of projects and programs and partnerships. I mentioned earlier our partnership with Up to Us focused on building capacity among faculty and staff to lead dialogues and teach the skills of deliberative dialogue. We've worked with the Students Learn, Students Vote Coalition and All in Campus Democracy Challenge and others to advance student voting. We had a very successful effort to build a kind of toolkit for community colleges to build student voter participation, and you can find that on our website. So there's a lot that's contained under this initiative, and we constantly are adding to it. We're focused both on supporting voter participation in 2020. We've had a huge focus on the census and engaging students and communities, campuses in census work. And we're also looking further down the road. So this is partly about engagement in these shorter term efforts, but it's also long-term engagement to build student capacity for long-term participation in democracy. So I invite you to head to our website, look at all the opportunities that are sort of gathered under the Education for Democracy heading. The last, or the next area we want to talk about is the work we do in building the movement for the public purposes of higher education. And a key part of that is developing knowledge and sharing knowledge, bringing together the best of what has been learned already and ensuring that the maximum number of people doing work in the field have access to the knowledge they need to deepen their work, to make it increasingly effective, to connect it with the work of others. So I'm going to bring back Clayton Hurd to talk about our work in a number of knowledge resource areas.
Thank you, Andrew. As Andrew mentioned earlier, Campus Compact has a long history of publishing, curating, and producing books, as well as a number of volumes and series that I think uniquely in our field are aimed at and of particular use to practitioners of civic and community engagement. And through our active partnership right now with Stylus Publishing, we're continuing to produce titles by and for scholar practitioners focused on effective strategies and tools for advancing the democratic purposes of higher education. So if you haven't recently visited our extensive online bookstore, we encourage you to do so, noting that during the course of our virtual conference this week, all of our existing titles can be purchased at a 30% discount, and that includes free shipping. And I believe that's also true of all of Stylus's other publications as well. So it's a good time to check it out, take advantage, and stock up if you're able to. Also, I want to encourage you to please join our Slack networking channel this afternoon and tomorrow afternoon at Publishing and Publications. to chat with the authors of our most recent Campus Compact publications, which you see listed here on the slide. Joining us will be Amanda Moore McBride and Eric Millen, who are the authors of Connecting Civic Engagement and Social Innovation. They'll actually be on the Social Innovation Slack channel, so you can catch them there. As well as Marshall Welch and Star Plaxton Moore will also be here on Slack at our publications channel to talk about their recent publication, The Craft of Community Engaged Teaching and Learning. Also joining us will be John Van Nooring, President and Publisher of Stylish Publishing. So please come visit, ask questions about our publications, or even inquire about how you might go about getting your own work published. The last thing I want to talk about here is our knowledge hubs. In terms of online resource offerings, Campus Compact has been partnering with scholar practitioners and institutions across our field to develop and make available a growing number of curated online knowledge resources that we call knowledge hubs. They're developed specifically around key themes and central aspects of community and civic engagement work. Some hubs are focused on specific institutional policies or practices, others on issues of importance to the communities with whom we work. Still others provide extensive sort of vetted knowledge about the key areas of our own civic and community engagement practice. Each knowledge hub contains key resources, suggested readings, exemplars, sponsoring organizations, and are really targeted, vetted, and updated all the time. Which is why, you know, we think it's really important to have this information in the field. It's often hard to find. If you're looking for a topic in community engagement and you go into a regular search engine, it's really kind of hard to figure out where things are. So we're trying to make that easier by creating places where you can get this knowledge directly. So you can find a full, extensive, searchable list of these knowledge hubs on our website at a very easy address, compact.org/resources, and you'll find them all there. So thank you. Back to you, Andrew.
Thank you, Clayton. Next up, to share a little bit of information about the work we do through the Campus Compact Impact Awards is our Vice President for Network Leadership, Marisol Morales.
Thanks, Andrew. I hope everyone is doing well today. So in terms of building our movement, Campus Compact does this also through our Campus Compact Impact Awards. The awards are not only about recognizing impact, but also about shaping the field. Our awards are named after individuals who have taken leadership, advocated for a place in higher education, for meaningful and ethical community engagement that centers people and communities. The Campus Compact Impact Awards seek to recognize the individuals and institutions for their achievement in advancing the public purposes of higher education and full participation as a premise for a diverse and equitable democracy. Yesterday, if you were on at our award session, we recognized our 2020 award recipients and highlighted the work they do in pursuit of this vision of higher education. For years, we've recognized faculty, but this year we expanded our awards to recognize 2-year and 4-year institutions, as well as community engagement professionals. So I'll just talk a little bit about each of the awards that Campus Compact offers. First is the Thomas Ehrlich Award for civically engaged faculty that recognizes one senior faculty member for exemplary engaged scholarship, including leadership in advancing students' civic learning, conducting community-based research, fostering reciprocal community partnerships, building institutional commitments to service, learning, and civic engagement. Our other faculty award is the Ernest A. Linton Award for the Scholarship of Engagement for early career faculty, which recognizes a full-time pre-tenure or early career faculty member who connects their teaching, research, and service to community engagement. The Linton Award emphasizes where teaching, research, or creative activity and service overlap and are mutually reinforcing. The scholarly work is tied to a faculty member's academic expertise, is beneficial to the external community, and is visible and shared with community stakeholders and reflects the mission's, the institution's mission. Our institutional awards, in terms of our new ones this year that we're excited to have, were the Garasi and Padron Awards for Institutional Transformation, which recognizes institution-wide efforts to address issues of public concern by aligning teaching, research, practice, and the values and service of the common good. Each year, Campus Compact will identify up to 6 recipients for these institutional awards. It will be both 4-year and 2-year member institutions. The awards are named for higher education leaders whose efforts have transformed their institutions to contribute to the goal of full participation in our communities and democracies. These awards recognize Campus Compact member institutions that have taken a comprehensive planned effort to advance the values as articulated through our 30th anniversary action statement of presidents and chancellors. These values include a commitment to prepare students for lives of engaged citizenship, to embrace place-based responsibilities, to contribute to the health and strength of our communities, to use the full capacity of the institution to challenge social and economic inequalities that threaten our democratic future, and to undertake this work through mutually respectful partnerships. Our last award, which is very dear to me because Nadine Cruz has been one of my mentors, is the Nadine Cruz Community Engagement Professional Award. And this award recognizes exemplary community engagement professionals who have demonstrated collaboration with communities focused on transformative change, a commitment to justice-oriented work, and an impact on the larger movement to build ethical and effective community engagement locally, regionally, and nationally, as well as internationally. The award is named in honor of Nadine Cruz, an innovative leader of community-based experiential learning and a pioneer in the movement for the public purposes of higher education. The Nadine Cruz Award celebrates ethical leadership and advocacy as demonstrated by community engagement professionals. And the cycle will be opening up on May 15th. So please check out our Campus Compact website to find out more, to submit nominations, to apply yourself. We are looking forward to all the wonderful applications that are coming for our 2021 Impact Awards. Back to you, Andrew.
Thank you very much, Marisol. Yeah, so that's one way of thinking about our work, that we are building a movement for change in partnership with many, many others, that doing that requires, as our awards indicate, kind of identifying our heroes and our exemplars and celebrating them and learning from their work. It involves building shared knowledge. It involves thinking about how we change systems. And it always involves supporting and bringing together people who do all of the work to make change. And that's essentially how we see what we are doing at Campus Compact every day, in partnership with you, our member institutions, with many other kinds of organizations, community-based, national, and otherwise. So that's a sort of big picture of what our work looks like. We also wanted to share a little bit about what we've been doing right now. Like everyone else, we have pivoted in a number of ways to a focus on the crisis facing our country and the globe in the context of COVID-19 and the pandemic and its economic impacts and all of the health impacts connected to it. So this is just a quick summary of some of the things that we've been doing. We, across our network, have pulled together resource pages, both locally and nationally, to help people find information about how higher education can be involved in the response, can use its capacity and its resources. We've been pulling together network gatherings, again, some state and regional, some national, to share ideas and information among professional students, faculty across institutions. We have a set of programs coming up this summer that we'll be sharing on our website, webinars and other things to help people as they look forward to the next phases when we launch in the fall, whether it's in an online or not kind of a capacity, and that's going to look different in different places. We've also are getting ready to announce, and so you should check our website in the coming days, opportunities for faculty training for building online community engagement courses. We've been doing this kind of on the fly, supporting campuses this spring as people made the conversion. But for those who are looking to structure courses that will be offered in an online format in the fall or spring next year, this will be a more structured opportunity for a kind of intensive learning experience. And again, we will share information about that in the coming days on our website. So we appreciate the extraordinary work that higher education has been doing. I think a sector that is not typically thought of as highly nimble has shown that it can be when the chips are down. And it's been extraordinary to watch and to play our small role in helping to support institutions in the context of their civic and community engagement work. Marisol is going to come back to share some ways that you can continue to be involved with and learn along with Campus Compact going forward. Marisol.
Thanks, Andrew. If you know Campus Compact, you know that we love being connected, and we've been connecting via online and virtual platforms way before we had to. So some of the ways to stay connected with Campus Compact is our Compact Nation podcast. Andrew and I, as well as Emily Shields, the director of Iowa, Minnesota Campus Compact, are co-hosts on that fun and wonderful podcast. Then you can check it out, Compact Nation podcast, on any of your favorite podcast listening apps. We share interviews with folks in the field doing amazing work, and just to have it as an opportunity to connect resources to our members. Next slide. We also have our national webinar series. We just concluded our second year of our national webinar series, and we're preparing to release next year's calendar. And so check out our compact.org website so you can look at the calendar for next year and sign up. The webinar series is free and open, and we look forward to you all connecting with us next year. There will also be an opportunity next year to submit proposals for the national webinar series. And we have multiple ways to stay connected. You can look at any of the social media apps that you like. They're listed there. And then we also encourage you to sign up for our newsletter at compact.org/get involved to find out more information, to get updates, and to continue to stay connected with the Compact during these trying times.
Thank you, Marisol. All right, we, I think, have a little bit of time, we do, for questions. And so we are coming back, I think, all of us to participate in answering some questions as they roll in. Okay, let's see. One question we've got is, do you have to be a member of Campus Compact to participate in affinity groups? Clayton, do you want to kind of give the rundown on that?
Sure. Yeah, I think yes, for the most part, for the Community College for Democracy, certainly you want to be a member. Truckin as well. For the affinity groups around the communities of practice, in most cases that is true. The preference would go to Campus Compact members. But yeah, we're encouraging people to. These are opportunities made available to our members. So in most cases that would be the case. Yeah.
We also have a question about Compact to Learn, which is about essentially who owns the concepts or data that's stored there. And one thing I want to make clear, that what that data looks like is data about student participation and data about student evaluations of student learning, et cetera. And the answer is the institutions own that data, not us or anybody else. We would be interested in making it available in an anonymized way with all kinds of protections for research, but none of that would be connected to specific institutions or individuals beyond that. So yeah, this is, the idea is for it to be a platform that serves the institutions, that enables them to serve their students well, and students themselves to learn from their own experiences in a kind of more systematic way. But there's no intention that the ownership go anywhere but the institutions beyond that. Okay. We have a question about national service, and I maybe will throw this to Monique and Alisha. If people are interested in right now finding out about how their own students and those who are graduating or recent graduates can just identify where are the opportunities and how can they get involved, what's sort of the best advice for giving people that information?
Yeah, that's a really great question. We have a lot of opportunities going into the summer as well as into the fall, or the next calendar year for most programs, or the academic year. So the first place for especially AmeriCorps Vista programs, which is kind of the larger chunk of our national service programs, is on the website myamericorps.gov. So that's where they have all the listings for their positions. I would also recommend everyone to just go to our website, Campus Compact National website, and look at the national service programs, because we have that map and we have a link to where all of the service opportunities are available.
Excellent. We also have a question about how, so that we mentioned sort of commitments to equity in a number of different places. And I think the question is really, is there a sort of systematic way that the Campus Compact is seeking to advance goals related to equity and inclusion? Marisol, do you want to talk a little bit to that?
Yeah. So we've developed a framework called LOVE, Living Out Our Value of Equity. And so thinking about the ways that we use that framework to do the work internally within the network to address issues of equity, and then build programming to support our institutions as they're looking to focus community engagement work with an equity lens. I'm a strong believer that you can't move forward, especially issues around racial justice and racial equity, unless you do the work personally first. And so our programming in terms of systematic ways that we're looking at it is what kind of personal work does the individual need to do to be able to then help move the institution to do that. We've accessed a lot of resources, specifically work from Equity in the Center, the Awake to Woke to Work, as a framework for building that systemic change within institutions. But much of our work will initially focus on individual development and training to address particularly issues around racial bias and racial inequities, and then build out for the systemic change. The other piece around our equity work is that we are not looking to do it as just a training piece, but how do we embed issues around equity in all of the programming that we do, so that it is part and parcel of the work that comes out of Campus Compact from here and going forward.
Let's see, a little bit more time. So I'm going to throw one more to Clayton. The question is, where can people find professional development opportunities as they're preparing to pursue the credential, and can institutions of higher education be trainers in that context?
Yes, that's a really good question. You can find the training opportunities when our next enrollment period opens later this week. We will have a list of current training opportunities alongside the continue to practice our training opportunities. We have those set, but we're also working with a number of third-party training providers, and you will see them listed on our website under preparation opportunities this upcoming week. But yes, we're always looking for new partnerships with institutions, either independent institutions or consultants, or with existing higher ed institutions that are able to offer trainings that align with our core competencies of our credentialing system. What that would take was for you to reach out to me or reach out to Campus Compact, have a conversation about what your materials look like, what they connect with, and then we'd like to move forward. We'd like to approve all of our trainers because we want to make sure there's not folks offering training for the credentialing program without high quality or good connection to the content. But once we've done that, we're trying to get more and more opportunities that we can make available to members so they can see on our website as they're going into the credentialing program to say, where can I go to get the kind of support and training I need? We'll have some listed this week, and we'll continue to grow those as we go forward.
Thank you, Clayton. Thank you, Elaine and Monique and Alisha and Marisol for participating and sharing some of our work. That is basically the time we have. We will be back in 15 minutes after a break. 1 p.m. Eastern time is our next session. Its attention is the new scarcity, a new approach to civic digital literacy. So I think it'll be really interesting. I know it will be, in fact. So take a break, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks, Al.